Hi, my name is John Morrison, and this is the first video of a campaign to save what is known as the Yorkshire Trench, which was part of the Ypres salient in Belgium during the First World War. A little bit about me. I take realities of war, which some people call battlefield tours, but it's realities of war that we do, which is an important part of people's understanding and an education of actually what went on wars. It's not war tourism, it is actual, there's a real reason for doing it. A little bit of background on the trench itself. The Yorkshire Trench was originally dug by the French army at the beginning of 1914, just prior to the First Battle of Ypres. Later on during the war, between 1915 to 1917, the 49th West Yorkshire Regiment improved and expanded this particular trench. Next door to it was called the International Trench, and at the side of it became known as the Yorkshire Trench because it was dug by the 49th Division. He had communications trenches such as Strensall Road, Huddersfield Road. It had names of Knaresborough, York, Albion Street, Briggate, places that people would know in Leeds and the rest of Yorkshire. It was predominantly dug by people from Sheffield, Halifax, Huddersfield, Leeds, the whole of the Yorkshire area. After the initial part of the Yorkshire Trench had been dug, the 173rd Tunnelling Company, Royal Engineers, they came along and actually dug a set of bunker systems in front of what was the Yorkshire Trench. It completed the actual dugout system. So you had the trench and you had the dugouts in front of it. Later on in the war, that became part of the headquarters of the Royal Welsh Fusiliers. After the armistice in 1918, the Yorkshire Trench was lost to time for 7 decades. When it was excavated, the archaeologists found the bodies over 150 soldiers on the trench line, both British, German and French soldiers. Since it was found by an amateur archaeological dig called the Diggers in the 1990s, completely by accident, it became realised that it was the first and only frontline trench that was in situ on the Ypres salient. There are quite a few others, but they're not actually fully in situ. This was found in situ and by the archaeologists. Some of them very, very similar to the vampire dugouts that were further on towards Passchendaele. And these dugouts were full of water. They pumped them out and they're in pristine condition underneath. Unfortunately, after it was renovated in the early 2000s, it's now got into quite a bad state of repair. The Flanders weather, the Flanders water has taken its toll on it, much as it did in the First World War. It's started to fall in on itself and it's become really, really quite unstable. At one time it was open and accessible to the public. At present, the site is accessible to the public, but the trench is not, which is a pity, because books and video and televisions cannot convey what these places did. That's why they're so important to save. They can't convey the actual movement back in time, the empathy that you can have with the troops and the soldiers and the people that were involved in it, not just in the trench itself, but the people at home who sent cards and letters and parcels. And when you walk through that trench, you get a sense of all this history that's around it. It's amazing because it is totally surrounded by warehouses, by factories, by import and export companies, and it's totally modern around it, and yet you've got this little piece in the middle that's still where it was between 1914 and 1918. And as you walk through it, it's just this transience between the trench of the 1914-18 war and the modern day behind it. So it's got a link with the past and with the present. After the archaeologists had unearthed the trench, they decided that a section of it would be kept and preserved for people to visit. It's almost unimaginable to look at it now and imagine the scene 100 years ago, surrounded by barbed wire, trenches, water-filled trench lines, totally destroyed landscape. Now in 2020, the Yorkshire Trench remains a fragment of a war that changed the world forever. The Yorkshire Trench is a sombre reminder to the men who fought, lived and died there. The Yorkshire Trench, sadly, after many years in the Flanders weather, much as it was in the First World War, is in a sad state of repair. Many sections that were once accessible to the public are unfortunately now not accessible. The trench has begun to fall back in on itself. The estimated cost of repairs is €150,000, which is £135,000. I am aware that things are very, very tight for people at present. I know there's a lot of ask on people's pockets, but I think that this is a really, really important site to save, partially because of the links that we have with Belgian and Ypres, and the city of Ypres and the Flanders Fields Museum, which are very, very proud of their links with Yorkshire. It's important to try and save it for all of us. They're in the same situation as we are. Very few people have been able to visit Belgium, very few people have been able to visit Ypres or the museum itself, and therefore they are in the same situation as we are as far as trying to get money for this particular project. Contributions are being made by the people of the city of Ypres and also the Flanders Field Museum. We're trying to raise money to add to that sum to make up the €150,000 that it's going to cost to put the trench back into a position where people can once again visit the time capsule that it is. Our campaign is set to flexible funding. That means that if we don't reach our goal, whatever monies are made will go direct to the Yorkshire Trench. Every penny is vital to our campaign, and with your support we can put the Yorkshire Trench into a condition that people can visit again. If you can't support financially, can you please make sure that you like and share this video. This was just a brief look at the Yorkshire Trench. I'd like to thank you for your time and generosity. Could you please make sure to like, subscribe and leave a comment. My name is John Morrison, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.